Hi, everybody, and welcome to another wonderful interview today. I'm so excited for our guest, and I'm excited about the topic because I think it's just something that is so important in our world today. It's a situation without getting into the details yet because I want Darlene to really go into it here, but it's an issue that I think a lot of parents struggle with. And this is a woman who has found a way, she and her ex have found a way to really navigate a difficult situation. So let me introduce her and then let's get this show on the road here. So, Darlene Taylor is a certified professional parenting and life transitions coach, in addition to being a therapist and clinical social worker. As an author and speaker, Darlene's superpower is helping people see the very best in themselves and achieve things they never thought possible. Okay, that sounds pretty good. So before moving to Los Angeles, she was a gender studies professor at the University of Cincinnati. When she's not writing, you can find Darlene hanging out with her daughter in Los Angeles and dividing her free time between obstacle course races, the beach, and the tennis court. Ooh, we have things in common, Darlene. We'll have to talk about that sometime. Obstacle races, I'm talking about. Her current book is titled It's Not About Us, a co-parenting survival guide for taking the high road. So, Darlene, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. As I said, I think this is just a phenomenal topic. Why don't we start with the story? So, what made you decide to write this book? What is the story behind this?
Well, about 10 years after my divorce, so that would put us in 2019. I'm parenting a 12-year-old, finishing up her sixth grade year, about to start seventh grade. And we'd been divorced. I'd been divorced from her dad for about 10 years. And we had a rocky divorce at the beginning. I mean, like most are, right? But we got to a place where we were co-parenting really well together, and I would say we were friends. We found our way back to being friends, which was really lovely. So he came to me and he said, "Hey, so I have this great job opportunity." We were in Ohio, and he said, "I have this great job opportunity in Los Angeles, and I really want to take it, but I don't want to leave our daughter. So, what do you think about moving to California?"
You're divorced now, it's 10 years later, and he wants you to move to California from Cincinnati.
Yes.
Uh,
And I had
okay.
a very wonderful life. I had a business and a home and a great bunch of friends who would become my family. And so I was like, excuse me?
Yeah.
And so, after some soul searching and talking with him and thinking about it, I really just came to the point of understanding that it really wasn't about what was best for me in that moment. It was about what was best for our daughter in that moment. And at any age, but particularly at 12 years old, she really needed both of us, and she needed both of us in a consistent way. And even if we had the means to travel back and forth and for her to see him somewhat consistently, that's not the same. And it would have, I believe, would have had a negative impact on her. So no matter what that meant for me, I felt like the best decision was to move to Los Angeles. So we did. So we make the move. And, of course, as you move to new places and you're meeting new people, they're like, "Oh, hi, well, oh, you're new. What brings you here?" And so I kind of tell people the abridged version of the story, and they're like, "Excuse me, why?" "I would move down the street for my ex-husband. I can't believe you moved across the country." And I was like, "I didn't move for him. I moved for our daughter." And people kind of were starting to ask questions. "Well, how? I can't believe you guys have that kind of relationship where." And so made me start reflecting on how we got to that space, how I got to a place where that was the right decision for me, and what we did right, all the things that we did right to get to a place where we could really co-parent well together. And that's sort of how the book was born. I had a few people, after explaining my situation, go, "You really should write a book." And I'd always wanted to write a book. And I was like, "Okay, well, I guess this is the book I'm going to write." So I did.
Oh, there's a lot to unpack in that. So let's start with this. I mean, that's just incredible that you arrived to that place. But you mentioned during that story that it was rocky in the beginning, which, of course, there's a lot to manage and figure out. How on earth did you get from that to a place where you were able to make a move like this for your daughter, really? But how were you able to do that?
I think the first part of it was that I really needed to focus on healing from the divorce myself.
Mm.
That is, I think, one of the things that really hangs people up when it comes to co-parenting, because it's not only you're having to navigate and maneuver this new relationship and try to figure out what this is supposed to look like now that it's not looking like what you thought it would be, but you're also hurting, no matter what the situation is, no matter if you were the one who initiated or they were the one who initiated, or even if it's amicable, it still hurts. It's a loss and you're grieving, and you have to deal with that in order to be able to move past that, move through that, and get to a space where you can work with this person, because no matter what, they are still your parenting partner. You may not be partnered together romantically or life partners anymore, but they are still your parenting partner. And if you want to do what's best for your child, you have to figure out how to make that partnership work for both of you.
How
Uh,
long did, oh, go ahead, please. I'm
oh, no,
sorry.
go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, how long was that period?
Oh, gosh. I think we went from, it was strained, I would say, for the first 3 years, 2, 3 years.
Mm.
And then we got to a place where I think in the book I describe it as like cool civility,
Mm.
where we were, we could be in the same room together, and we it was really interesting because looking back, we were always around each other because of our daughter, and so all of our conversation was sort of focused toward her, and we would kind of talk to her and talk to each other when we had to, but just sort of, it was all just about her.
Mhm.
Um, and then slowly, I would say probably by year 6 or 7, I think, we got to a place where, it was more friendly, like when at the drop offs is, hey, how you doing, or maybe something happened with his sister or his brother, and I would, ask how are they doing, or how's your dad doing, and so we slowly got back to that place. And I think for me also, it was a decision of, kind of selfishly wanting to protect my peace. This is a person that I'm going to have to deal with every day, especially when she was little, almost every day for the foreseeable future, as far as when our daughter was young. And I just really didn't want to carry that anger and that anxiety and that stress with me every time I had an interaction with him. And so I decided, okay, I need to lay down whatever it is that I need to lay down, and focus on giving her the best life that we can. We decided to have this kid, and we wanted her to have the best life possible. And I believe we still both really wanted that. And so that was going to be my focus. And, it came with a lot of, biting my tongue sometimes. And that's what the subtitle of the book is, Taking the High Road. And that's what a lot of it was, is, not getting baited into arguments kind of early on when we were still sort of in that bickering phase, and being able to just sort of be the bigger person and stay focused on what was good for her. And sometimes that meant doing things that were frustrating for me, or that I didn't really want to do. But I knew that ultimately it was going to be something that was good for her. So you just sort of swallow your pride and get over yourself. I mean, that's really what it's about.
So initially, when you were describing that, it sounded like it was the passage of time that really helped it along. But then I heard you say you made a decision in there, which that's not a passage of time. That's making a decision. Is it a combination of both? Or if you had to do something like that again, knowing what you know now, would you have made that decision faster? And can other people do that? I know that's a lot of questions there, but
Right. No, I think you're right. I think it is a combination of both. And I think that the passage of time is important. When things are very raw. Somebody was asking me the other day, about my book, and saying, "Oh, I have a friend who's just now getting separated." And I said, I would definitely recommend that they get the book, but understand and maybe tell them that this might not be something that they feel like they can put into practice right now.
mm,
I think that you do have to take a little bit of time to heal. And I think when things are really fresh at the beginning, it might be really difficult to make those hard but right decisions. It might be really difficult to see past your hurt and your anger and really keep the focus where it needs to be. So I do, obviously the earlier you can make that decision, the better. But I do think it's important to give yourself some space and some grace, and give your parenting partner some space and some grace, because the reality is also that you're in two different trajectories and two different timelines when it comes to healing, right? And one
mm,
of you is going to get there first, more than
mm,
likely, and one
mm.
of you is going to get to the place where you can co-parent from the high road, and you just want peace, and you just want to do what's right for your child, and the other one's probably not going to be there yet. And And so that's where it really takes the, making that decision and keeping your focus on your children to know, okay, I'm going to stay up here. This is the only thing I can control, is the way I approach the situation and what I'm doing. I'm going to stay here in this space where I can feel good about the decisions that I'm making, no matter what my parenting partner is doing. And I believe that most people, most parents, when they divorce, are not, narcissistic, horrible people. They're two really hurt people who are just trying to figure this out, and they're scared and they don't know what to expect. And it's hard. And I believe that, because I believe that most people are that way, I believe that it's possible for most people to get to this where I call the high road of co-parenting, giving themselves some time and some space to grieve the loss of the marriage, of the relationship, of the family, and then figure out how they're going to define their family going forward, because you are still a family. At least that's what I believe. So
Mm-hmm. And when you were in that earlier phase, you mentioned having to take care of yourself. I know we're jumping around a little bit, but it makes sense just to touch on this, that you said the importance of taking care of yourself when you're grieving like that, grieving this loss. So what were some of the things you did to help yourself?
I found a therapist. I think that was one of the most helpful things that I could have done.
Mm,
It's great, and most of us, if you're lucky, you have wonderful friends and family in your life who will rally around you. And these people are great for emotional support, but they're also not the most neutral.
hmm
And sometimes they can make it really easy for you to sort of stay on that low road and just stay wallowing in all the things that went wrong and why this person is horrible, and focused on all of the wrong things. And so I think finding a therapist is somebody that's going to be that voice of reason sometimes when you don't necessarily have that in your corner, but also will give you a chance to really focus on how to heal and how to move forward and what this means for you going forward. So therapy, definitely. And I think support groups, as corny as that may sound, divorce can feel really isolating, and it can feel like, even though intellectually that, half of marriages end in divorce. So of course people have gone through this. It feels very much like you're the only person who feels this way. And so it's really nice to meet with people and to talk with people and share your experiences and hear that your story is a version of a lot of the same other stories. And there are people out there who understand what you're going through, and can offer you support from that space as well.
So you also, you're coaching or counseling, you're helping people, you're doing parenting, you're helping people through this, correct? You've been through it, you've written a book, you obviously you have credentials as a therapist. Um, and so how is that going, helping people through it? What are their biggest challenges? Are they the same that what you're talking about here? And is working with them helping them through that?
I
Must
hope
be.
so.
Yeah.
Yes, I hope so. And I think that probably the biggest challenge, and this is one of the things that I focus on when I speak and also when I work one-on-one with clients, one of the biggest things I focus on is figuring out how to separate the partner from the parent. This person
Mm,
may not have been the right partner for you, but that does not make them a bad parent. And being able to separate those two things and keep them, and just focus on this person as a parent, and remember what you liked about this person, which is very hard to do at the beginning, right? But remember, why you chose to have a child with this person. At some point, you looked at this person and said, you know what? This is who I want to procreate with. And this person, I trust them enough to help me raise this child. You had
mm,
that trust at some point. So
mhm.
finding a way back to that space. And I think that's one of the things. And sometimes I think it's just hearing, um, hearing someone remind you of these things, because nothing that I say in the book is earth shattering, I don't think. I think sometimes it's just a message that you need to be reminded about, and a message that you need to hear at this particular time. Of course, some of this feels very simple, like, well, of course. But it's really hard to remember that in the midst of this. And so I think that's really what I feel like my value can be as a coach, is keeping people focused on those things that will help them stay on the high road, that will help them cooperate with this person in a way that's going to be healthy for their kids, and will help them focus on something outside of just where the present and, the next 5 minutes, what feels like the next 5 minutes. And, maybe it will feel really good to be kind of petty and mean in the next 5 minutes, but what does that mean? What foundation is that laying? What does that mean for your relationship later? And understanding that this is a person that you will have to deal with, not just for the rest of your life, but for the rest of your child's life. And
Mm.
that means graduations and weddings and birthdays and all of these things. And how do you want your child to feel in those moments? Do you want on your daughter's wedding day for her to be anxious about the fact that she can't have her parents in the room together at the same time?
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
unfair. It's unfair. So it's up to you. You never stop being a parent, no matter how old your kids are, right? And so
Right,
it's up to you to be the parent, be the grown up,
right.
and figure this out for them, because not only they need it when they're young, but they need it when they're adults as well. It's one of those. I think that's one of the best gifts that you can give them, is to let them know that they don't have to worry about trying to parent you,
Yes,
because you all have
yes.
been able to figure it out.
Well, you may say that a lot of the book is common sense, but I just want to add that it's your voice and it's your particular way of looking at it, and it's your creativity that you're really adding here, and it's adding a lot. So we're talking with Darlene Taylor today. She is the author of "It's Not About Us: A Co-Parenting Survival Guide to Taking the High Road," and we're hearing all about that today. And again, it's I think really an essential skill and something many people need to learn, and we all need to learn throughout life, right?
Yeah, I think
Tell us
so.
about your daughter. How is she doing?
She's great. She's just turned 17, which is
Mm.
it's mind blowing to me.
Mm.
It's a little bit shaken up my world, but yes, she's 17. She's a junior in high school, and she's thriving. She's been such a wonderful support for the book. It's been really fun, the process of writing it. At that point she was, 13, 14 years old as I'm writing this book, and she's like, well, what have you finished a chapter? And she wanted me to read to her. And I hadn't read to her in so long. And so it was really interesting, because a lot of the book is each chapter of the book is focused on a story, of something that happened, something that we went through, and kind of the lesson that I learned from that story. And so much of it was when she was really young and she doesn't remember. So I think it's fun for her to kind of hear these things that happened, and hear my thoughts and how I felt through it. And so, yeah, she's doing great. She actually wrote the afterword to the book.
Oh, how
That
fun.
was great. And her dad wrote the foreword. So he's been wonderfully supportive as well. So it's been good.
Sounds like you two are you good friends now? Would you say that?
I would say that we're friends. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like, when we first separated, I did not know that we would ever get to this place. I wanted to. I didn't know that we ever would. But yeah, I would say that we're friends. He is repartnered, and his new girlfriend is absolutely lovely. She and I are friends as well.
Hmm.
And I recognize that that is not the path for everyone. And I'm not saying that that's what you have to do. But I will say that if you have a person that's willing to do that, and if you can get there, that's a really cool gift to be able to give your kids too.
Hmm.
Like it's just it's great. We can all be together, and have Sammy be there and know that there's no animosity, there's no ill will, and we're all, we're all there, with mutual respect and care for each other. And that's, I don't know, I'm very grateful, very, very grateful.
And Sammy is your daughter's name.
Yes.
Just want to say that.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, well I think that sounds fantastic. So anyone going through this right now, we've come to the end of our time here pretty soon, but I'd love to know your final thoughts and tips for anyone who may be facing this right now. Maybe they're into the process a bit and ready to take a look at your book, not in the really early stages, but ready to look at this higher road. What advice would you give them?
Surround yourself with people who are going to support you being on the high road. Be really direct with with your family, with your friends, and say, look, this is the path that I'm trying to take. So if you can support me, great. If not, I don't want to hear anything else. really
Yeah.
surround yourself with that kind of support. Continue to do your own healing, continue to think about how you want your life to move forward, and what this new family is going to be like, and try to communicate, as clearly as you can, as much as you can, with your ex-parenting partner, and know that the road is not going to be a straight one. There's going to be ups and downs, and even when we got past the really rocky part, there was still some ups and downs, and so just know that, understand that, and recognize that that doesn't mean that you're doing something wrong, or that it's wrong, or it's not working. It's still, at the end of the day, um, I think the high road is always the best choice.
That
And
sounds great. That sounds great. And an audio version is coming out soon. Is that
yes, next
correct?
week. Yes, next week
Oh,
it should be available. So that was a joy to record. Yes, so the audiobook is available. It's
you
on.
did the recording?
I did.
Oh, yay.
Yeah.
I
So
love it when the author does the voice. It
it
just
felt really
adds.
strange to think about somebody else reading those really personal stories. So I'm very grateful that I was able to have that experience. So yeah, the audiobook is out, and it's available Amazon, Barnes and Noble, all the places. So
Right. Now, what if someone's interested in hiring you as a parenting coach or something? How would they reach you? And are
uh,
you available? Are you doing that?
yes. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm available. I'm
Great.
available for speaking engagements. I'm available for one-on-one coaching. Even if, a co-parenting couple wants to come in together, and I work together with couples, I've done
Mm.
that as well. But you can find me at darlenetaylor.com. That's my website. And on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, I'm at the Darlene Taylor. So my daughter is just helping me sort of get into the TikTok world.
Oh, yes. We all need help from someone else to do that.
Right?
Absolutely. Well, we will look for you there. Absolutely. So, Darlene Taylor, our guest today, she's the author of It's Not About Us, a co-parenting survival guide to taking the high road. We'll have the cover in the show notes here so you can see the beauty. Is that your daughter on the cover?
It's not, but it
Oh,
looks
it's
an
not.
awful lot like her.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, she's kind of running in the ocean, it looks like.
Yes, yeah.
It's a beautiful picture. Anyway, Darlene, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You bet.